In this video I shall give you an indication of how to make a small nuclear device from readily available materials. And the test reports say that if you're successful, they're quite powerful and well, take out a tank basically. This is a glass tube. The glass tube, perhaps the glass could be thinner than that. This is borosilicate. Well, don't need that. You can use borosilicate, or you can use a borosilicate, thin borosilicate glass. And you need an electrode at one end, like that, just for those, and there, like that. And another electrode, other end. So it needs to be slightly bigger than this, slightly longer. But it's a coil of wire of about 6 turns. Yeah. Okay. And that goes inside. And so it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit on there. And then you need a capacitor circuit. Capacitor, where is it? Capacitor. It connects across the electrode. I can't remember which electrode is which. And so the current goes, the current capacitor goes through the device. There's air inside. Yes, it can be open to the air. And you then have a oscillator, make one of these, made inside that, so that's 250 volts. And this is a 250 volt, this is a 400 volt transformer, so it's about 400 volts. Put 400 volt capacitor, 400 volt capacitor, you have a diode in here, charge it. And then you make this, connect that with a transistor as an oscillator. It's a fairly straightforward oscillator. And which you can get from books. This is a miniature mains transformer. It's not very powerful, but you charge out the capacitor to 400 volts, and when the breakdown voltage of the air is reached, a current will flow. Now, depending on the current, you get an avalanche breakdown, and the object is to get 1,000 amps through the gas. So that's quite difficult. You've got to have enough potential, but this is only 400 watts and it's 16 microfarads. Not much progress, but you can get a capacitor like that, and it's perhaps a bit more powerful, and you need perhaps more voltage, but you need a fair amount of capacitor, not huge, and enough voltage to break the air. And it's I think it's 3 millimeters per, because it was it. I can't remember what it was to break down air. I think it's, I don't remember what it is, but it's so much a kilowatt, which is not much. And when the current flows, if you get a sufficient current, 1,000 amps, this little coil, gas inside this coil is subjected, once the plasma forms, once the initial spark forms, you get a plasma through the coil. And a little coil of wire, which is about 6 turns, and it will generate 6,000 amps in the plasma. That's the idea. And if you use air, and it's atmospheric pressure, and if you're successful, that will give you a nuclear explosion, because the air will ignite the nuclear explosion. And that's the theory. Well, especially with tritium or deuterium, hydrogen doesn't do it, but a mixture of hydrogen and deuterium will. That forms a small atomic bomb, and I don't recommend doing it this time, because I've heard people who try to make these things. I think they use hydrogen actually, and well, the successful one we found his feet in his shoes. Apparently, that's all we found in no shed. But that's apparently it was something like that, and it is 1,000 amps through the gas. It's best to use hydrogen, but air will do. And to use hydrogen, it's got deuterium in it, so deuterium explodes, and the burning of the deuterium is a deuterium reaction will actually produce more deuterium in the hydrogen, so it actually goes on for a long time. The yield is quite small, but it's enough to well, you could use it for mining, for example, but to make holes in rock, that sort of thing. Well, I have heard the use to take out a tank, So that could be very useful. And the British Army could use it in shells instead of conventional explosive. Of course, it needs a much better one. But I think before we tested them, they had a problem with batteries. They went flat between tests, which is no good. And so you need a lithium ion cell, which has a longer shelf life. And the actual current, you see, it takes the diffuses as the current builds up, as the voltage builds up. It's not determined, it's not exactly right, but it varies. So it could take a couple of minutes to charge up, and then you've got time to get away. And well, I'm told they can be very smaller than that. And if you use a flashguard mechanism, you can get away with a reasonable voltage and quite high current using an ignition wire that goes over the side. And I've got one somewhere. Little transformer you can get from Maplin, pulse transformer. So a little transformer you get from Maplin, which is 4,000 volts output, and you just put a pulse through it, and that just a trigger wire. The trigger wire goes down the side, like this, down the side, like this, down the side, like that. And the pulse transformer, which I think I've got one, is well, I've thrown it away. I've already got thrown away. Keep throwing things away. I have a pulse transformer in here. It's only a transformer. I think I lost it. But you can get them back here. They're pulse transformers, and it gives out a pulse. It's a tiny thing, though, about 2 pounds. Input is 100 volts, I think. So you have a thyristor controlled input. So that's a more complicated one. And the capacitor can be low voltage, can be a higher value, more microfarads, and so it produces a bigger current. So that's the alternative, a trigger wire. And that ionizes the gas. It's a little bit around it, ionizes the gas, and then it will fire. The xenon tubes, which are the flash tubes, contain high pressure xenon, so you want air at atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is quite high. The atmosphere is quite high pressure, and so that's why it's 100,000 pascals. And so the current through the air was. If you use hydrogen, hydrogen itself does not react, but you can use deuterium, but there is deuterium in hydrogen, or you use tritium, so that's right there. So they can be used, and they're clean atom bombs, they're not going to produce a fallout. And if you want to increase the yield, you put a lithium array. You can get lithium from schools. Schools, they sell lithium pellets. They do them under oil, but you can have them dry as well. And you take one out, drill a hole through it for the tube, and put it inside. And if you 5 grams of lithium, if you could ignite it as a nuclear explosion, well, actually, make a big hole in, and it's a 20 kiloton bomb. So that's the secret weapon which has been developed, not by me. I didn't do it, but not spying. It's my invention, and I've no guarantee it'll work. But it's on my web page. There's nothing not much detail more than that. And it's not very. I tried to patent it, but it wouldn't let me because I got the nuclear action wrong. But lithium, because it actually produces carbon-14. Well, carbon-14 is black, has black soot, so that's what you get. So it looks like a chemical explosion, which a gunpowder which produces soot, but it isn't. It's a nuclear explosion. And I understand some of the improvised nuclear devices they used in some other countries are actually made like that. But this is rather expensive. That's actually quite a big one. Can get smaller transformers. So you don't need much current to charge it up. Charge it up over a period of time. Might have a resistor in it to slow it down, and it can charge it up. And it reaches. I think the 400 watts will be enough, and you need a fairly potent capacitor, which you can get from suppliers. Perhaps I don't know, 100 watts like that. And when the trigger wire fires, a big current will flow through it. So a little trigger wire, tiny little transformers. I can't remember where I put it now. They're only about £2 or £5 in map. So this thing could be made for about £5, and quite useful. So you don't need uranium or plutonium. It's just air or hydrogen or something what is defined. You get hydrogen from electrons of water, which have an deuterium in it, and if you electronize it over a period of time, the hydrogen comes off preferentially to the deuterium. So it tends to increase the level of deuterium, you can actually recycle it. So that's one way of increasing the deuterium level. But the last fractions are higher deuterium than the first fractions, which you waste a lot. Another way of doing it is to use gaseous diffusion because if you use a porous pot, these things, this is from these things using a porous pot. Now that will that's hydrogen and deuterium, but deuterium is retained. Hydrogen is more mobile than deuterium, so hydrogen goes through at a higher rate. And if you have a series of stages and you feed it back, you'll actually get a diffusion concentrator, and you'll get more deuterium out of it. Deuterium goes out of the middle, and that's the idea. So that's how to make deuterium. Deuterium is quite a useful explosion, but it's not as powerful as one of these commercial nuclear weapons. It's not a hydrogen bomb. It's not going to take it. It's not going to be 20 megatons or anything like that. It's just about a ton of TNT, something like that, which is quite small, and do damage, but they're safe, because they don't do damage outside the area where they blow up, and there's no fallout, apart from this carbon-14, which is slightly radioactive. And it gets into the environment, it's taken up by plants and things, and so it's actually going to make things radioactive, but it's not too bad. That's the trouble. You can use the best fuel to use is actually lithium hydride, which is a white powder. It flames in there, so very dangerous stuff. You can put in a couple of boxes. So that will produce. I think the stuff is 40 pence a megaton, something like that. Not much worse to make it abrasive. Now these could be used instead of where normal hydrogen bomb has an atomic bomb, which is a uranium bomb or a plutonium bomb to ignite it. The electric ignited ones do away with that, so they're much nicer, and sort of thing that almost anyone can make. But, not safe, but here you are. So that's not a secret, because it's not the British don't recognise it. It's not a secret. It's just one idea. There's no guarantee it'll work. No guarantee at all. So you don't blow yourself up. And you need a wire. It's only the wire about that thickness, which is about 16 gauge tin plated copper wire. And only got one turn. We've got 4 turns of them, which is about 6 turns. So it's and that worked apparently. And, excuse me. I've just had some sprouts, boiled sprouts with some flavouring, exotic flavouring, which is very cool. It's quite nice. I've got a vegetable sometimes, and I'm cooking some sausages now. And I'll probably go out for a walk somewhere with a sausage and a glass of water. I'll take a jam jar of water here. Can't find bottles. I do get them, but I do get bottles. Jam jars again. I think one of these vacuum flasks. I've got a vacuum flask to live on it. I do one of those. And that's an atom bomb. Okay. Cheers. I don't blow yourself all up.